People are thinking, what's he on? I've had too much dip dab.
It's the girl with the long hair playing noughts and crosses with a very creepy clown-looking thing.
Oh, well, little known fact, that clown is now in prison.
I wouldn't mind, but I've literally got a running order in front of me. I still managed to cock it up.
The fact that you write the running order and don't know what order it's in is slightly worrying.
It's time to adjust those shoulder pads, backcomb what's left of your hair, and jump into the DeLorean for a look back at what's possibly the best decade anyone could ever have grown up in.
Shall we play a game?
This is Bring Back the 80s with your hosts James Alderson and me, Andy Jackson. Thank you for tuning in, thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, thank you for liking. Welcome to another episode number
8?
7.
Is it?
7.
Not 7.
Season 2,
Is
7.
Okay.
Again, as we always say, because we got to that stage in our lives where we can't think straight. If it's not that episode, in the subtitles on YouTube, it will come up exactly where we are. But I think last time was episode 6, which makes this episode 7.
That makes sense to me.
I think so. There we go. So, lovely t-shirt today, just for in case you've never seen this before.
Yeah.
There is I think she is the person who has spent the most time on TV in the history of TV.
Oh, wow.
But
certainly during our childhood.
Certainly, no, but just in the pure number of hours.
Yeah.
Just if you are listening and not watching on YouTube, this was the test card, which used to be on for many, many hours of the day. It's the girl with the long hair playing noughts and crosses with a very creepy clown-looking thing.
Oh, well, little known fact, that clown is now in prison.
Rolf Harris. Rolf Harris was puppeteer.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a creepy. I mean, who picked that clown?
Just ridiculous.
What a dickhead. Don't pick the one like that, mate. And if you do, pick one with hands, because he can't play Norton. Maybe he
can't do it with his nose.
Well, maybe that's probably the problem. Stuff he did with his nose, but they had to remove his hands for obvious reasons, for legal reasons. But yes, so yeah, and she's still alive, bless her. She's in her 60s, isn't she? That girl.
Yes. She's been on TV for more hours than anybody else in the history of TV in the whole wide world.
There was various test cards they used. I think this was for ITV, if I remember rightly, but I'm not sure. But to turn that on as a kid, summer holidays, afternoon, at your nan's or something, bored out your brains, hoping something's be on, and there'd just be that.
And there was a very generic orchestral music they used to play in the background as well, which is now there are whole YouTube channels dedicated to test card music that has been found over the years
than this.
Yes.
And to those people I say, well done.
But do you know why the test card was there? Why they put the test card up?
Was it to test things?
It was so that when the TV, because when you bought a telly, you didn't just take it home and plug it in.
No.
It would come home. You would bring it in from Radio Rentals. It wouldn't be yours to keep. It would be yours to rent.
Yeah.
And you paid for it every month or whatever. But the TV engineer would actually have to set it up and make sure that it worked properly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, what's the point of this? What's the point of this, though, in the middle of programmes? Did he pop round halfway through the afternoon and go, just going to test it, love?
They used to check so they could set the colour and everything right for you, so you knew that you were, that was a thing. Isn't it funny that we can manage quite well without test cards now after all these years? Turns out we never needed them.
Did we? No. Just jobs for the boys. Let's put this on. But in between the soaps or whatever, you might have a bit of a test card. Maybe not in the evenings. Didn't pop up a test card. Maybe late evening they did, but not like peak hours when you had the two Ronnies or you had EastEnders or something or Corrie. No time for that. They had high paying advertisers. Whack them in.
This is a strange thing to think though with now where there is literally an infinite number of channels on 24 hours a day and there is so much new material being uploaded to even just YouTube every single minute of the day. There's no, even the entire population of the world could never watch it all.
No.
But back then with our three channels, even then there were whole swathes of the day from like 9 in the morning till 1 when the afternoon TV might start and Crown Court might come on where they literally had no programs
Nothing.
to show.
Yeah.
Why didn't they show repeats? Why did they show the test card?
I think nothing had been made that was worth repeating. Is that now, of course, you go on to all these different channels and they're repeating all the 80s stuff. They don't, well, and apparently they repeat the test card. So you just got to go onto YouTube, you go onto any of these other channels, not just Gold, by the way. You go onto Comedy Central, you go onto any of these classic channels, these very popular big channels, and there is soaps. There is comedies from the 80s, not just look at this from the old days. It's actually classed as, decent shows to watch.
But it is, because the writing was good. It wasn't as sensationalist as we need to be now. And people just like us to live in the past.
Hello.
Speaking of living in the past, mystery sound of the 80s. Here's a little reminder of what it is. Anyway, that's not
That's not the one.
That's not the one at all. We do this every time in part 2, don't we?
Should we do this in a minute?
We do that one again in a minute.
Yeah.
So this every bloody time.
Oh,
every bloody
Gremlins.
time. So this is a well-known.
No, that's not Gremlins. Gremlins in the tech, not Gremlin music. That wasn't the theme tune to Gremlins. Can you imagine that being the theme tune to Gremlins?
So this is the bit that I was going to do later about this. This, of course, is a well-known soap opera
Is it?
that was at one point in time called Emmerdale.
Yes.
And it's called Emmerdale Farm.
Yeah.
And then they changed it to Emmerdale because they wanted to. Oh, that is lovely. TV Times magazine.
Yes.
1980. Nine.
Well, this is 82.
That's 82. That was when it was all about farming.
Called Emmerdale
So
Farm.
it was farming. So there were people, it was all about sheep's being born and cows being milked and all that kind of stuff as well. This was before the days of plane crashes and mass murders and fires and all that kind of stuff as well. So they, basically, I'm loving the.
Well, that's the classic. Have a look at your TV Times, kids, and when you've finished, have a look at the adverts. And it's every advert. Every advert in there is cigarettes. There's even, let's go towards the back. Look, cigarettes.
Dunhill,
every advert.
With that lovely
cigarettes.
gold Dunhill light. My dad had one just like that.
The lighter.
Yeah.
Another cigarette, look.
Embassy number 10. Those were the first fags that I ever bought. Was asking the newsagents for 10 Embassy number 1, please.
Yeah.
And of course, being 12 years old, more than happy to hand them over and get me hooked on the subject of.
Well, once you finish the candy cigarette, move straight on. Have you got leaky gutters, by the way? So you've got different adverts for all different things in here. Some classics, more cigarette adverts. It goes on and on. Oh, hang on, we've got some nice golden watches. Just trying to see. Castrol GTX, of course, is a Castrol GTX advert. Regal, cigarettes. Okay, let's see if I can find anything else that's going to ring some bells.
It's all about the cigarettes, to be honest.
Oh, hello,
isn't it?
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
Look at him.
That was the highlight of Saturday evening TV.
Yeah.
After the football, I think there'd be a bit of racing in the morning. Then there'd be the football.
I thought you were going to say racism then. That's the 80s. A little bit of racism in the morning. Get your Union jacket on.
But Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks were the two wrestlers that I remember. I remember my old great nan used to come round to our house. She would sit there in front of the telly with a packet of fags on one side. She'd have a glass of something alcoholic on the other side, and we'd all just sit there watching the wrestling in the afternoon. It used to be a family thing, and that was the best of what was on on TV.
Until, look at this advert. It's a long wait, but Tuesday the 2nd November, Channel 4 comes on air. Look at that. And you can go to your newsagent and ask them to deliver your TV Times each week so you don't miss what's on Channel 4, 2nd of November 1982. My goodness, we're getting 4 channels. Strap in, ladies. Yeah, so the good old days of cigarette adverts. What could be worse? Cigarette adverts whilst you watch the Corrie.
And because you could have the cigarette adverts on during the programs as well, not just in your magazines as well. So we were talking about Emmerdale Farm as it was. They did a rebrand. This was when they relaunched it at the end of the 80s in November of 1989, and they said it's too much about farming. We want to bring it up to date and everything. So this is the new titles they came up with.
The Whack a Cyclist in there.
There we go. Whack a Cyclist in there. Here we go.
A bit different. Yeah.
There's a farm. There's a farm animal. There's more farm animals. Ploughing. Horse riding.
There we go. Everything, haven't they?
They've got the milk thing going.
Yeah, that was sewage.
There's hay for the animals. Bit of hang gliding going on there. Okay, more horses. Little quad bike thing going on. Another sheep.
Yeah.
And they are sitting outside the wool pack with a load of cows going on there. So I would say that are they brief of make it less
farmy.
Less farmy. They've failed. Rather.
Well, maybe they took it too literally and we'll just remove the word. It's like, no more farm. I go, okay. You'll just keep it Emmerdale, shall we? I just want to clarify, I'm not a weirdo. Well, I am a weirdo, but I'm having a dip dab from the last episode of the soap operas because it's still down there. And one thing about 80s sweets is they never go out of date.
Never ever go out of date. There's so much preservative in them. They're absolutely fabulous.
Yes.
Absolutely fabulous.
Yeah. Now, obviously, I brought this in because it's the Brookside VHS tape.
Can I do a bit of ASMR again here?
Yeah, go on in.
Which I don't know what it stands for, but apparently it's all about the sounds. So.
Yeah, so
VHS.
Yeah, we didn't have the old YouTubes and we didn't have, playback and all this sort of plus ones and everything. So if you wanted to watch the classic story, I mean, that's called That Man, Harry Cross. So it's obviously all about the character. You buy a VHS and you go and pay $9.99 or the prices were crazy. I don't know if the price is on there, but it was expensive.
That Man, Harry Cross, right, these are the 3 episodes that are on this. First one, this is going to hook you definitely in. So it's That Man, Harry Cross from Brookie.
Yeah.
Episode number 1, Harry buys a turkey. Harry buys a turkey.
Yeah, that is action-packed, that episode.
Episode number 2, Harry's holiday in Torquay.
Woo!
Whoever Harry was.
What about episode 3? What's that one?
Commonwealth Day Chaos.
Oh.
See, that's got a bit of something going on. Chaos. There's a bit of jeopardy going on in there as well.
Commonwealth Day Chaos.
Did you realise that this has been signed by somebody? On the back it says, best wishes, somebody, Tracy, with a kiss. So somebody's bought that for somebody as a gift.
Oh, no, it's best wishes, Justine Kerrigan, Tracy. I wonder if Tracy's one of the actresses, because it's actually on the bit of paper inside it. They haven't put it on the... I'm going to have to Google that now. Who was Tracy on Brookside in the classic 80s? Because that's probably worth at least £3.
I expect you paid far more than that for it, though.
No, I robbed that. But yeah, Brookside close, but now it actually is a close, isn't it? It is actually a little street.
It is a little street,
people
yeah.
live there, so
but
yeah.
Those are the days where, like you say, where there was no Netflix, there was no YouTube. If you wanted to watch something, you would have to either buy it from W.H. Smith,
yes,
or Woolworths as one of these compilation cassettes, or of course you could go down if you wanted a movie and you would go to your Blockbusters. Of course. You would go to your local video store, and they would have a selection of maybe year-old movies for you to pay money to take home.
You just spend longer choosing it than you did actually watch it.
Yeah, and then
just walk around for hours.
When you'd chosen it, because they only had the empty boxes on display for obvious reasons, you take it up to the counter and say, "Sorry, mate, that's out."
I haven't got that.
Yeah, I haven't got that.
Yeah, no,
so you'd end up with some bloody rom-com or something that you never ever
and a load of sweets.
A load of sweets. They used to sell the popcorn on the to give you that cinema experience. They used to sell the popcorn, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, we all used to eat popcorn watching the soaps, obviously. But yeah, soaps. There was just such an explosion of soap operas. I mean, we had the old American ones, didn't we? Which I guess you'd class as soaps. Dynasty and Dallas and all that gubbins.
Big ones.
And but it was Emmerdale. It was even Sons and Daughters. Do you remember that one? Sons and Daughters.
Was that a doctory thing? Did that have doctors in it?
Let me finish. Tears of sadness and happiness. We will find out the song. That's finished. Yeah, I don't know what that was. There was one called Doctors, and there still is, I think. But Sons and Daughters, I always remember being on at the beginning of the afternoon when they tune in a bit early when you're hoping to get kids TV. Just people are thinking, what's he on? I had too much dib dab. So yeah, I would tune in thinking 4:00 kids TV, and it was about 3ish, 3:30. Sons and Daughters. It was Australian, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah,
but that was a soap opera
because that was cheap. So do you remember? I was going to say they probably bought that because it was foreign.
Yeah,
so it was going to be cheaper to buy and then actually have it made. But do you remember as well? You used to get those kids TV programs that were in completely foreign languages, but they were overdubs. They were like from Romania or somewhere, and there was sort of there was a lot of sort of almost like sort of horror to it.
What, like The Boy from Outer Space and Chucky and all that sort of stuff?
But
they were very scary.
These were ones that were done in different languages.
Oh, I know, like Heidi.
Like Eastern European languages.
Heidi was that, wasn't it?
And it was
Swedish or Swiss
really
or
badly overdubbed.
Yeah.
Really, really badly overdubbed.
Like Monkey Magic.
Now, see, the Monkey Magic crossed that barrier of being so bad that it was cult TV viewing.
I remember watching it and loving it when I was like 5 or 6, and then they did a big relaunch of it when I was about 10 or 11, and I was like, oh no, it's dubbed. When I was younger, I didn't realise. It was like Monkey. That was classic. Obviously not a soap, but brilliant TV nonetheless.
Back then. So with today's clips, I've literally got no idea what's coming next, James. So let's go on this voyage of discovery.
Surprise. Should we do this?
Here's a reminder of this week's There we go. I wouldn't mind, but I've literally got a running order in front of me, and I still managed to cock it up.
The fact that you write the running order and don't know what order it's in is slightly worrying. But there we go. Good.
There we go. So if you know what that is, if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. Tell us what that is. We will do a draw for either one of James's comedy shows across the South, or for a wonderful Bring Back the 80s super soft luxury T-shirt available in small, medium, large,
extra large. And
well.
I grew up with the 80s size too. Hi. Okay. Well, I mean, if you do know the order of what's coming next, then do get in touch. Let us
in fact,
know.
if you'd like to come along and produce this little thing that we try to throw together, I mean, sometimes it works. I think that's half the excitement. If we never ever know,
we're surprised
what is coming next.
Else.
Literally quite surprised.
Now, before I forget, because you're forgetting stuff, and before I forget, I don't tend to forget. Of course, I just want to clarify. I'm wearing this because I'm Benny from Crossroads, which I haven't spoken about really yet, have we?
We will do, yes.
Brilliant. But I want to draw everyone's attention to this single and album behind me, obviously, if you're watching. And this is how big soaps were, is they had their own records out and like compilation albums that were quite big selling things, telly hits, TV themes. And here, bless her, Anita Dobson and the Simon May Orchestra, I'm guessing it's Brian May's brother's orchestra, she sang a top-selling, it might have even been a number one hit, Anyone Can Fall in Love, to the tune of
Anyone Can Fall in Love, da 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 da.
That anyone can fall in love,
da 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 da.
And then Brian May went, he didn't, I don't think. But so this is 1986, and she sang that quite originally, Anyone Can Fall in Love, whilst getting the living daylights beat out by what's his face?
Dirty Den.
So anyone can fall in love, but usually with the wrong idiot. So there we go. BBC, just in case you needed any reminding. BBC Records. And then there was loads of these compilation albums. Again, BBC, and on here we've got Howard's Way, which we spoke about.
We did that last time. Yeah.
Tomorrow's World, blimey. Dallas, Cagney and Lacey, of course. Tender Is the Night, don't know. Bergerac, of course. EastEnders, and the snooker theme. I don't know which one of the snooker themes it might be, but so a great. I mean, you just would not get that. But
who was buying a compilation of 16 top TV themes? Who was the person who was going out and thinking, I think that is... apart from you, James, who was the one who was buying those?
Well, I mean, some of these tunes still are epic tunes. You know, Coronation Street, EastEnders. How many times do people reenact the drums of EastEnders?
Oh, yes.
Even in modern day jokes and clips and stuff. It's just one of those things. It's a bit like Surprise theme tune. Cilla Black is on all of the memes and stuff now because, you know, it's like when Jesus came back on Sunday, it's like surprise. They're great tunes. So I'm surprised that's not on here. All these tunes, Dallas Dynasty, epic productions. And these days, days, you bang out a TV show and it hasn't got anything you can sing along to when you're cooking your tea.
It's all done by computers and AI and things now, isn't it? There used to be, was it Ronnie Hazelhurst was the guy who did all the big TV shows. He did like the two Ronnie's themes.
Oh.
And he was the guy, he was like the king of the TV themes at the time. So he was the man. I expect he's on one of those.
He might be.
If you'll find him in the credits.
Yeah.
Let's do another clip here. Like I say, God knows which one it'll be. We never know. It's a surprise for all of us.
Oh.
So you notice something strange about these titles that are coming across the end of the screen. Tony Hatch was the other one.
Yeah. (1984).
Something.
How good was that?
Good old Central. What an ending. Dun, dun, dun.
Fantastic.
So there are people listening to that who are getting teary listening to that.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those theme tunes, a bit like Prisoner Cell Block H. There's just, the music was just emotive. And I don't think that's too much of an exaggeration. I think a lot of people will listen to some of those tunes and stuff happened in your lives when all these soap operas were playing, And I remember, personally, like Cell Block H was on very late.
Yeah.
And I remember laying in bed as a kid, probably only about 7 or 8, and my mum, on her own, bless her, who brought me up on her own, was in the front room on her own, just listening to and watching that. And now it just makes me feel quite emotional.
Take you back to those days. Little tears.
Yeah, there are people listening to that,
yeah.
crying, watching this, thinking, this is shit. No, they're watching this, thinking, that's made me well up a bit, listen to different themes.
I want to know whose idea it was, though, to make those end credits, instead of like every other end credit in the world, just go down.
Yeah.
These ones were coming from side to side, upwards.
They had the money to spend on it, Andy.
What was the thinking behind that?
Keep you on your toes.
What was the thinking behind that?
Keep you on your toes. Where's it coming from? It's a bit like this show. Where is it? Where's it going? What's happened?
So if you remember that show, of course, James is sporting Benny's hat.
Yeah.
Which,
Miss Diane. And I'm sure I'm offending people saying that. So he was the maintenance sort of guy.
He was this kind of maintenance guy. He was a bit, he was slightly slower than the average person. Yeah. He was very good natured.
Lovely.
Absolute heart of gold.
Yeah, love Miss Diane.
But if there was some kind of slapstick comedy to be had out of not managing to start a lawnmower or out of falling over into a pile of manure or something, it would be him that would be behind it.
Of course.
He was a figure of fun, but we were laughing with him, not at him.
That's right. And and as I said in the last episode, that phrase, "Don't have a Benny," was very much based on him. And it was there was every sort of character. There was love affairs, there was sort of career jostling and trying to get different jobs, and obviously there was Benny. So lots of different angles for Crossroads. And I think that was really the only one I remember where they'd close a door and the wall would rattle.
That was the standing joke, wasn't it? That was the standing joke, that it was like, and a lot of it was live as well, didn't it? They used to do
a few live, didn't they?
They did some live ones, which added to the jeopardy,
the excitement. Yes,
I think in those days there was a lot more live TV perhaps than there is now.
Than there is now. Yeah, they do it every now and again, don't they? There's a big thing. That's the biggest thing of soaps is Coronation Street's going to do a special and it's all live. It was like, oh God. But back then, they certainly rolled out a few.
Yeah. One more clip.
Go on in.
And we've covered all the English bases.
Oh, okay.
We've covered Corrie, we've covered Emmerdale.
Yep.
We've gone sort of down that road. But there was a time when the whole nation watched this happen, and then we needed to find out what happened next. The Americans were very good at this.
Are you in here? Hello? Who's there?
Oh Oh my God. And everyone spoke about it the next day.
That was the big thing, like literally the whole country and around the world. Obviously, the Americans had seen that slightly before we did, but in this country, the only topic of conversation was who shot JR.
Yeah.
And of course they did that, and when they did the next episode after a little break and they came back, that was again the most watched episode of a soap ever, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they had to have that under lock and key, didn't they? The video when they flew it over from America.
Yeah, it literally came over on, I think it came over on Concorde, didn't it? So, and it was under lock and key with the security guards, and nobody knew in this country what had happened, even though the Americans had seen it.
Americans had seen it, but they didn't have the phone number for England, so they couldn't phone anybody and tell us. And there was, my mum got a video recorder just for that. Just to record.
I can believe it. I can believe it.
Yeah.
I absolutely can believe it. So do you remember who it was who did the shooting?
Well, some people might not have.
Oh well, yeah, if they need to they could go down go back. But in fact, we'll leave it. Instead of telling you, if you know who shot JR, put it in the comments on YouTube, so that we're not going to give away a spoiler of that. But it was, I think in America, it was definitely the most watched TV show ever when it came to soaps, and certainly in this country, I think it was the biggest soap audience as well. It was absolutely huge. When I remember
an episode of, I don't know if it was Dallas or Dynasty or one of those, where someone went to make a phone call quickly and there was a snake around the phone that bit somebody, and that scared the heebie-jeebies out of me for years as a kid. He went to grab the phone and he got bitten and was like, and I was checking under my quilt and everything. It was, I mean, you don't get that in EastEnders, do you?
You don't get that.
You don't get a snake.
No.
I'm sure people have been shot in EastEnders recently. That's a lot more common these days. But yeah, no snakes in Emmerdale.
No. But the occasional plane crash. The occasional plane crash.
On the flight path, what do you expect?
That was when they needed to have a big change of direction, make it less about farms. And they had to just crash a plane. Yeah. What are the chances that a plane crashes into the village,
into a flock of sheep,
and kills off all the boring characters
and all the animals?
What are the chances?
Yeah, well, that's just negligence, and some of the animals have survived, but none that you can show anymore because they've been plane damaged. They have to just leave them out of the way. You got that three-legged sheep and the horse with half a head. Just leave them out of shot, and we'll carry on talking about other stuff. And what do they talk about in Emmerdale now? Then, if they don't talk about the farm,
I've not watched Emmerdale. I think it's all about. I'm guessing there's a bit of adultery going on.
Yeah,
I'm guessing there's a bit of illicit drug taking going on.
Oh God,
I'm guessing there's a bit of a criminal gang.
Oh, there's bound to be
stealing cars or something. There's all. I'm just pure guessing.
They might do flying lessons. Maybe on the fields. Just practice, just in case you're ever veering off target and you're nearly hitting the farm. Yeah, well, it's all change, isn't it? And they're trying to make everything a little bit more impactful and sort of in your face. We can't have subtle storylines anymore. No.
If you're looking for something that is exciting, go no further than this podcast.
Oh yeah, no, that's it. Yes, it. We've got no plane crashes, no shootings, and no adultery.
But we do have Benny's. We do have Benny's story.
Benny's beanie. Benny's beanie is as exciting as it gets. Just amazing that the cliffhangers that they would have back in the 80s were all about someone's in love with somebody or someone who stole the sweets or something. Who's going to be the boss of the Rover's Return? Not a plane crash and a car crash or anything. But we loved it, and we nevertheless.
And on that exciting moment of remembering Benny's beanie, this is where we have to say thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you are a listener to the podcast, make the switch over to YouTube, because that's where all the cool kids hang out.
It is.
You will see Benny's beanie being proudly worn by James on there. He's also got the Bring Back the 80s. In fact, I don't think I've ever modelled this t-shirt.
You haven't? No, you should though.
I've done this before.
It is an XL.
So that's still going to be stuck these days. Still going to be stuck. That is the Bring Back the 80s t-shirt that you could choose between that or tickets to one of James's myriad comedy shows across the South.
All in every town pretty much, or city. So if you get the sound of the 80s mystery sound right, then we'll pick you, and when we read you out or put you on the subtitles, then get in touch and tell us what you fancy.
Yeah. Apart from that, James, what are you up to during the course of the week? Where can people find out more about all your gigs around the South?
Wow. If they go to jamesalderson.net, my website, that has all the shows that I'm appearing at listed there, or go to any other website to find other stuff to do.
Absolutely. Normally at this point I would be saying I'll see you on the radio next time.
Yeah.
That's not a thing anymore.
No, for now.
That's not a thing anymore. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will see you in 1 week's time.
Yeah.
We'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks for listening to this week's edition. We'd love it if you could subscribe in your favourite podcast app. And don't forget, there's a video version on YouTube too. You can contact us using the links in the show notes and on the YouTube channel. And we'll see you next time for another edition of Bring Back the 80s.